5 seconds. Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Biz Talk for TikTok. Today in the studio, I'm honored to be talking to the incredible Cael O'Donnell. Cael is Australia's number one psychic and medium and has turned his business into a six-figure empire in just 6 months and has grown his TikTok channel to over 600,000 followers. Now, some of you are probably thinking, like, Kyle, what's going on here? How come we have a psychic and medium on the show today? But as I just mentioned, growing his business to a six-figure empire is really something that we're all wanting to learn from. And no matter what your business is or what you do, there's always going to be some strategic things that we can learn from each creator that we have on the show. So, Kale, I'm really excited to have you on today. Welcome to Biz Talk for TikTok.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. I'm really excited about this. This is something very unique, and I love the name of the podcast too. It's fits so well.
Thank you so much. I had to do the play on words, right? You gotta bring it
Yeah.
into the thing. Some people are like, "What?" Like some people don't get it, but they will eventually, because as we both know, TikTok is still growing, and there's so much room for this organic reach and growth there. But I want to know a little bit of your background. Were you always social media, like with your business? Were you always geared on social media?
Yeah, so my whole business actually came out of TikTok. So I didn't know that I could monetize my page. I didn't know. I was just doing it and helping people, connecting with their loved ones until one day I realized that it was something that I could, make a business out of, and that what value I was giving people, I can actually, charge money. So from there, it just started to take off, and I want to thank TikTok because that's really where my business is mainly out of. So, yeah.
That's really cool. So talk to me about that, like about joining the app in the first place. Was it something that you knew you were going to come to the app and really be like business focused, or did that kind of just fall into place?
That's a good question because I didn't really join TikTok because I wanted to make a business. I didn't even know I, wanted to do that. I joined TikTok like the most of us, very curious, just want to see what it's all about, seeing some clips here and there on other pages. And so I
Hmm.
went on there, and after that, I'm like, I'm going to try a few videos. Looking back, they're the cringiest videos in the world. But you find your niche, you find your what you're good at, and so yeah, that's how I basically got started, and it was for fun at the start.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you brought up that it's the cringiest videos, because every creator I think can attest to that when they go back to when they first started and they're like they had no idea what they were doing, and it was just like really like off topic to what they do now. It just was they had no idea what they were doing. So it's cool that
Yes.
you say that though, because a lot of people might like when they see content creators like yourself who maybe they might be a psychic themselves or a medium, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's doing so great. I can't keep up with that. I don't know what I'm doing in that place. But
Mm,
for anybody listening that might be interested, scroll down to Kale's first videos and see where how far he's come and established himself, because
yes.
you could probably attest to this, that you've learned as you've grown. You've tried different methods and different video styles. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've tried many different styles, and it's always the case that the styles you think are going to go viral, the things that you put so much work behind, they flop. And the things, one of my most viral videos that has 8.4 million views, um, that's the video that I just did one afternoon, and I'm going to do it like this, and then it blew up, and I didn't even have any thought behind it. So, you just have to give it a go. Just try.
That's so funny. That's honestly, I would say 95% of the people I've had on my show and I've talked to them about their videos, they've all said the exact same thing. Those that they spend a lot of time and effort in the creative process just kind of bomb, like you say, they just flop. Whereas like the ones that you kind of just are in the moment, people can feel that authenticity. I think it's just kind of like in the moment and you
Mm,
just post it. It seems to resonate really well with people because something about it just feels so vulnerable and real. And I think that's why people have their success. But then you can kind of learn from that and say, okay, this worked, and kind of plan like you do. I see you do a lot of really cool videos where you're talking about like a story within you talking with one of your clients, and and those experiences. And is that something that you did once and then it kind of worked, and we're going to continue that style of video?
Yes. Yeah, that's one thing because I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try it because everyone was doing the whole, Siri voice thing and telling stories, and that's was a trend that, it has died, and I'm still doing it, but I'm still, and it works. I think that's like kind of my thing now. But even in business, you have to tell a story. Your story will sell, and so
Hmm.
that's kind of, it makes sense that the story really was the one that went viral because people are curious to see what do you offer, what do you do, what service do you offer people, and how do you impact people's lives. So that's how I would answer that. That's starting that video series that I've been doing has
Hmm.
shown real encounters with clients, and people are curious to watch, and they have their phones, they tell me on notification, so when the next series comes out, the next episode, they want to watch it because they're curious to see how it progresses. It's a story.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because it is a clear indication of like what you do, where people can get a glimpse and say, I want that story, I want to figure out what's that for me, where it's not so ad like. You're not pushing your business by any means, you're sharing like a piece of value about it in a fun, organic way that people can enjoy it for like at face value, without having like something attached to it, like go to my website. Like you're not pushing people. And I think that's where TikTok is really revolutionize kind of like where businesses are able to now advertise in a fun way. They don't have to be so
Yeah.
pushy, right? Like on Insta, I mean on Facebook, if you were to run an ad, you would really want it to be like, go visit my website or whatever. Where we saw before, and it was just so pushy, like you almost felt obligated. Like, I don't want to get a reading.
Yeah.
But whereas if you don't want one, but you can still enjoy it, right? Like you can still enjoy that video and still learn something. But then those that are curious will go want to grasp for it even more. And is that kind of what you noticed with your content? You started getting reached out by a lot of people, like, how can I sign up? Where can I go to get one of these things? Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, when you don't indicate that you want anything in return, and you just say, check out the link in my bio for a free gift that I have there, and the gift is a download reading that you can download how to you know connect in with your spirit guides. That's one gift that I give away, and people are like, even more value, that's fantastic. So that's how you kind of, it's called a funnel. You start at the end of the
Yes.
day, it might look like I'm creating all this creative content and people, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and there is a funnel, and there is a process of getting a client. And so
Hmm.
the more value you really pack on, the more that they feel like I'm being served and treated well, and I want to work with you. And so that's how it works for me. And it's like clockwork. You give something, and people want to work with you.
I love that. I talk on my show a lot about the funnel system as well, because it is true. No matter what we're doing, even as a personal brand, we're all selling something. Like, I believe that 100%. No matter what you're doing, we're selling something about us, or what are we like? What's the whole point of creating? So I agree. And TikTok, like when we're talking about a sales funnel, or just a funnel in general for obtaining something, TikTok really is the top. I think it's one of the best. Like, it's the biggest, widest bucket range, and I
Mm,
love when you go to like your page. It doesn't look like business, like, if that makes sense. It looks fun. It looks very native to TikTok. It looks really cool, but that's the
mm,
whole concept. Is like you said, is giving value versus like trying to take something from somebody with no, like, with a cost. You're giving things for free, and now all
mm-hmm,
these can, like, people are consuming your stuff, and they're hearing these stories, which is great. I think any business should be able to talk about a story from their customer or client or whoever, and then people are wanting more. They're going to go get that free gift, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is
yeah,
so valuable. How can I get more, Kale? Tell me more. Where can I go? What's your website? Like, they're coming to you for this information versus you spewing it on them.
yes,
And that's,
exactly.
yeah, that's really like the power of TikTok and being more organic in that fashion. And I think a lot of brands are starting to think they're catching on, but there's still a lot of those that are in the archaic days, because
Yeah.
it's moving quick. So you caught on to that, and clearly it's been a success for you. Because tell me about that. Like, 6 months, six figures. Talk to me about that. How that all transpired?
Well, for me, I just stayed very consistent, and one of the ways that I stayed consistent, once I was able to use the live feature on TikTok, I started going live, and live is one of the most value giving things you can give to your clients or customers or people you're trying to reach,
Mm-hmm.
because they're right there and they don't need to wait for an email reply. They can ask you in the comments, you know? So you're right
Right.
there and you're providing an incredible amount of value for people who are interested to work with you. And so while I was going live, that's where I was sending people to my website. So it came off very
Nice.
naturally. I would give them a free reading
Yep.
and I would say, hey, I'm seeing more. But I don't have all the time in the world. I got to move on to the next person. So there's a link in my bio. Go and check it out and book yourself a full appointment. So you
Right.
direct the person, you give them value, but then you're not going to give everything. And you say, I'm seeing more. I actually see something in next year in the month of April that I want to talk about that Spirit's showing me. So go ahead and book, and I'll tell you about it in the full appointment. Of
Right.
course, they're going to book because holy crap, I want to go and book for about April. So that's how it works, and it works a treat for me. And I don't go live as much anymore because I'm really, really busy. But
Mm-hmm.
I stay consistent posting. And how I got to six figures in 6 months was working hard, building a valuable client base, providing value, being myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I also like to manifest. So I set goals. I think was it in December or January, I said, I want to be earning, here 10, 12, 13K a month. And so I set that as a manifestation goal. I visualized it and I would get to that and even surpass that. And I was doing the same thing, but I was manifesting as well. So that's another thing that I'd have to say. Not only consistency, but I also had to put you know, my manifestation to work as well.
Big time. Manifestation to me is something that I do on a daily basis. Like I have a chalkboard downstairs and we we write like a message to ourselves of what we want for that day kind of thing. And like
Yeah.
where our mindset's going to be. And I think that's really powerful and I do agree like whether people believe that or not, I like to say it's almost like you can change that word out for whatever you feel like you need to change it out for. I use manifest, but like goals, like it's
Yeah.
really important to write
Mm-hmm.
those goals down and figure out where do you want to be and write it like as that's what you want. Like you have to be very specific with it. Of what I found for sure, like don't be vague, be very specific on what you want. And you said, I want to be here, and there you are.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. I mean, how cool like before that you weren't making six figures, I'm assuming.
No, I wasn't earning six figures and I didn't have that many followers. So I actually did the same thing with my followers. So I would say to Spirit or say to the universe, whatever you believe in,
Hmm.
I'd like another 100K by next Wednesday. Thank you. And I would say that to the universe and it would happen. Because I manifested and I put out my request to the universe. This is what I want. But the secret thing is, if you're listening to this and curious about this power, I actually finished the loop and I said, I would like to reach 100K because I want to impact people with hope and change their life. So you tell the universe something you want to do, not because you want to gain, but you're going to give something back to the universe. And they go, tick,
Mm,
I want to do that. I'm going to help you get the 100K because you sold it to me. You sold
okay,
me on your mission.
I like that. So it's not like you can't just I want to like let's just say dollars for I want $1 million, which we all would like, but it's like why what's the
Exactly.
purpose behind it? What are you going to do something valuable with that to give back? If I give you this, what are you going to give back in return?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
literally I could write a book on that secret law. That's a secret. Many people know that if you want to manifest, if you want to make $1 million, you can make that, but you got to sell it to the universe. Tell what are you gonna do with that $1 million? How are you gonna
Hmm.
help the world change?
That makes sense. And I think, like you said, the secret there is a lot of people think of manifesting of they want, but they have to remember to also give back. But
Yes.
the power of action too, I do agree. Some people think that they could just sit back and think they want these things, but you have to take action, right? Is that true?
Yes. The amount of people that message me or light workers and they'll say, "How do you get those clients on your waiting list?" and yada yada. And I say, "Okay, so how many times have you reached out to, give value to clients, or how many times have you posted on TikTok? Oh, I post a couple of videos and they flopped. Wow, you got to get back the next day and post again. You got to keep consistent and keep showing. The thing about the algorithm on TikTok is that if you make any changes to what you're doing, it will be picked up and your followers will start to go down. And
Hmm.
your impact will start to go down. So you got to show yourself consistent. You got to show yourself, I'm going to show up every day and entertain people. So, and it will reward you. It's one of the most rewarding algorithms that exists right now. So you will be rewarded. Just got to stay there and be consistent.
I could not agree more. I love that you said it's like a very rewarding algorithm right now, and it's like it is. TikTok might not be in the future, just like we're seeing with Facebook and Instagram changing, but right now it
Mm,
is the platform to be on. So that's why I'm educating people right now. You got to get in here and be able to do that. But just like manifesting or whatever, you do want to have that goal, but you got to take action for that. And I love what you said now for that full circle effect. Give the reason what you're going to give back once you obtain
yeah.
that, or why you're obtaining it. I love that. I never really thought of that, and now that's going to change my perspective on my goals. I might actually write that on my board now, is adding that piece to it and saying,
Yeah.
hey universe, I want this because I want to do this with it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Not just because you can have a million followers, but what's the point if you don't have a
Exactly.
purpose?
That's the main thing. You've got to work with the universe, and the universe will work with you. What you want, the universe wants for you. And I know, and I'm friends with TikTok users in Australia and around the world that have 3 million followers. They have millions of things, but they don't have a lot of money and
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of followers because they don't know how to monetize. That's the number one thing. And number
Yep.
two, they don't know how to manifest. And, I can teach you today how to obviously manifest. But the monetizing bit, you got to find what you want to give the world, and that's your gift and your talents. And double down on one thing you want to offer the world. So many people want to give so many things to, so many people. But you got to pick your audience and pick your number one thing that you're going to give them, and you'll find your spot and it will work. Trust me, it will work for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I do talk to creators too, because there's a fine line of some that are a little bit greedy that want to just charge for anything. And then there's also like some creators who want to just give, 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 and they're just like burn themselves out. But I do agree, like you said, you're giving value, but you're also a business, like you said. And I think that's really
Yes.
important for people to learn from, because without you being able to turn this into a business, you would burn yourself out and then the value is gone. You can't give back anymore. So I think, as creators, like you said, if they can figure out their vision and then be able
Mm.
to turn that into a monetization piece that would give them financial freedom to continue to create. It would also give them like the time and effort if they needed more resources to hire to help them out, so they can give back and give that value. But it is important to remind yourself at the end of the day that no matter what you do, you are a business, so you have to kind of treat it like that, and there has to be some sort of monetary value back, I guess, right? Like, or we would all just be kind of, and I'm not saying broke is a bad thing, but like we'd just be broken and burnt out. So
You'd just be broken famous.
yeah.
Because I know so many people think that when I get followers, all the brand deals are going to come to you. No, that's not actually the case. You have to go after the brand deals, and you got to get on their platform. You got to get in their eyes, because they're not just going to chase you, because there's so much competition, so many different followers out there. So it doesn't always equal money if you have a lot of followers.
I, Kayla, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's such a powerful statement right there. It's so true. People sometimes they'll grow, and so a little bit about me is I run an agency that does we partner brand deals with our creators. So we have an exclusive talent management list of creators we work with, and some of them are big,
Mm.
like Spencer X, Michael Lee, who got over 50 million followers each. But the thing is, obviously brands are coming to them, but I do have creators come to me for that advice, and they're like, Kyle, like I've grown to a million followers, and how come my inbox is dead? And I'm like, yeah, welcome to reality, where it's not like you just grow here and then all of a sudden people are coming to you. You really have to fight for those spots, and really go after it. And that's kind of like, even with our big creators, we're constantly on the outbound reach out, because you have to go out there and talk about what it is that you're thinking about doing. And I tell creators this is a really good piece of advice that I tell creators is if you do want to work with a brand and they haven't reached out to you yet, then you really have to focus on go through the content that they're creating themselves, look at the creators that they're working with, and see what it is that those creators are doing, and then incorporate that into your own creativity because that's what's going to get their attention.
Yeah.
They're not going to just come to you. It's kind of like manifesting. You have to take that action of what you want, but make it look like you're already playing that part. Then they're going to notice you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I did a little bit of a sneaky thing where I just started to talk about the brand deals that I want to work with and I would tag them in my stories on Instagram. And
Yeah,
then, and I would give them all this value of, I love this product and I love using it and blah, blah, blah. And then my manager reached out and said, hey, look at all these stories we've been doing. We've seen that you've seen our stories. How about a brand deal? And they go, absolutely. Why not? You know?
right? Yes. Yes. There's some people that would say, oh, but I'm doing it for free and they're getting exposure to my audience. But yes, but sometimes giving that piece of like that shows for one, if a brand sees that you're a huge fan and you're willing to do a free video, that right there strikes their interest. Like, ooh, they're
Yeah.
actually a fan. They're not just like going to do it for the money. They're really excited about this product and they're going to do us justice. Like, they're going to do it in a good
Mm-hmm.
way. And I agree. Like, so I'm working with one creator right now and she really wants to work with Doritos. It's like her dream brand. So she
I want to
actually
work
did.
with Doritos. Oh my god. When you get
Right.
her one, get me one.
Okay, so like she created some two videos for them for free. Like they don't even know about it, but they created it so that way when we reach out we're like, hey, here's the links to these two videos so you can kind of get an idea of what your product looks like on my video. And
Yeah.
that's what gives them a better indication so that they can visualize it and be like, wow, this is an amazing fit, we got to do it, here's some budget. Yeah.
Exactly. And follow up, follow up, follow up. So, that's the one thing you can't just post and think that, oh, they'll get the picture and reach out to you. Follow up, send them another email 3 days later and say, hey, I'm just checking if you got that email. I'm curious to work with you. And,
Yes.
most oftentimes that second follow up will get a reply and they'll be might be a little bit blunt and just say let's get on Zoom or let's just get on a call, are you available like now, and you
Right.
do it,
Hmm.
because it's your business. Don't you want to make money? Don't you want to keep going? You'll do anything to keep that business afloat so you can keep giving your vision and reaching that mission that you have.
Exactly. I think some creators feel like, oh, I'm going to be too pushy or bombard them. But if you look at it as a sales perspective, because you're selling yourself, you're a bit, you're kind of a business. They say in the sales world that sometimes it takes 10, like being in front of somebody 10 times for them to grasp it. So keep being
Yes.
consistent. Like, you're not really going to annoy them. They might be like, okay, wait a minute. Who is this? Let me see what the heck they have to say. And then they see that and they're like, hey, oh my gosh, like, because these people are busy. These creators don't realize there's millions of people out there. For one, there's thousands and thousands of creators that are looking to be on that exact same campaign. So you have to fight for it. You
And
really
that's so
do.
important. You make a great point there because you can flip that card and say, just like you said, you got to get in front of them 10 times. Even those small businesses listening today, you have to be getting in front of your customer 10 times. So, how are you going to do that? Making content on TikTok regularly and making sure
Boom.
that it goes up there.
I That's amazing. It is so true. It is like a reverse world. Like, everything has its own part to it, and I agree. TikTok is great because you're making fun content where they're gonna like your brand is in front of them all the time. Like, it doesn't have to be so pushy. Like, that's why I love your content. It's fun. There's always something to learn, but then again, you're a brand, so that way when I'm interested in wanting a reading, who do I think of
Yes,
first? I think of you. Like, I think Cale
exactly.
top of mind that is partnered with that thing, that niche, that whatever focus it is. So that's really, really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, that's
And
so interesting you say that because I've had that a lot of the
definitely.
times. People often say that. I never had a meeting reading medium session before, but I thought of you because I've seen you so many times and I felt comfortable because I've experienced a little bit of what you do. So I thought I'd reach out.
I
I get that all the
ex-
time.
right? And they said that they feel comfortable because what is so different about TikTok is the whole, like, commercials or ads. You don't really spend a lot of time looking at the camera like I'm right now. It's
Mm,
more, sometimes it's like sometimes an ad is like conversation with somebody else, or if you watch commercials a lot, it's like people just in the room, but they're not even talking to the audience. Really,
Mm.
what they really should be focusing on now, whereas your videos, when you're telling a message to somebody, which actually I have one for here, which I want to share, one of your videos, and it's looking, you're looking at the camera and sharing that message to them. People feel like you're actually speaking to them, like they've already know who you
Mm.
are. They've watched
Hmm.
10 of your videos, so they feel like they know you, so that way when
Yes.
they're reaching out, they feel comfortable enough to be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited." Like you don't really know them, but they feel
I
like they know
don't.
you.
That's so interesting you say that because I'll post on my story and lots of people would love to watch my story and then they'll have a reading in the afternoon that they've waited 8 months to have this appointment. And
Right.
then when I'm meeting with them, they'll say something like, how did your cat go this morning with that new toy you bought? And I'm like, how did you know that? And then it's like, oh
Right.
wait, you watch me on my social media. So sometimes you forget people are watching you all the time to see
They
what you
are.
do.
Right. And that's really important for a brand, because if you can be in that, like, somebody's top of mind where they feel like they know your brand inside and out, that's a loyal customer for life. Like they will go advocate
Yes.
for you to everybody, and that's what you want.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I do have a video that I love. Like it just, I want to share it with people right now. So I'm gonna play it. You'll know what it is once you kick it
Oh,
off. But
sure.
it's about happiness, and I think that's a really good statement that we need to do to talk into our next segment here. Here we go.
Sure.
Ticking away in your life, and you need to pick happiness above everything else. If it's not bringing you happiness, you need to let it go. If it's not giving you happiness, you need to move on. Life is tremendously short. Be happy.
I love that video, for one that can relate to anybody, but I think creating content or for your brand or business, starting with happiness and being excited about what you're doing is really, I think, one of the key factors to success as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yes. You know, at the end of the day, when you strip away the money and the fame, people just want happy. Ask any celebrity, you know? So you really want to prioritize happiness. That's one of the key things is finding what gives you joy, what fills your cup. Pursue that, you know? Not what mom
Mhm.
says, not what dad says, not what your teacher at school said. Just pursue what makes you happy and go for it, even if it doesn't make you millions. You know, you're still gonna be happy because you're doing what you love. That's what I do. I love giving readings. I say I do it for free, and I do.
Right? Exactly. I think, we were so conditioned to listen to what society has to say for ourselves. We're now that's what I love about social media shifting to where more and more and more people are becoming creators, because it really is giving us that focus that we can do what we want. Like we actually don't
Yes.
have to fit the mold of what society thinks like that we should be doing. We get to be who are we like we want to be. And somebody growing up probably told you, like, if you told them this, I want to do this, they probably would have been like, good luck. I think you really should go the education way and do this or whatever, and would have shot you
Yes.
down. And you could have been in that situation where you're like, okay, and moved on and not pursued your dream. So I do agree. I love that. Anybody listening right now, really take this moment to think about what you want to
To
do,
think.
and manifest it, write it down, and tell the universe what value you're going to give back by doing that, and
Yeah.
go with it.
Yeah, and that really links in because there is a story coming up in my book, 3 Minutes with Spirit, comes out next year. There's a story that I share about me working for a tyrant boss. And I used to work for a boss that would scream at me, he would swear at me, he would swear at all of us, make us feel so bad. And I remember every morning at 6 o'clock, I would arrive and I would have to get the newspaper from the front of the door and bring it in. And I remember my thoughts were one day I'm going to own my own business and then I'll treat all my staff good. One day I'm going to own my own
Nice.
business. I'm going to treat all my staff good. And I kept on telling myself that. And he said one day when I was, by myself making coffee, he said, one day own your own business. That's where all the money is owning your own business, not working for somebody else. And he actually kind of told me to do that. And I was surprised. I'm like in my mind, yes, Kevin, I'm going to be going to do that. Don't you worry. I'm not going to be working for you until I retire. That's the number
Right.
one truth. And that's where I came from. And I did go to university. I did go to study psychology. I did work at a hospital for
Hmm.
5 years, working in mental health. And I had happy moments. I felt like I touched people's lives. But was it filling my cup every day? No. I felt that there was something more that I wanted to get in this world, and I got it, went out there and did it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think most of like the really cool entrepreneurs with really good stories, they all started somewhere else. Like and that is where for people listening, you can be that person too. Like these people that are doing these things that they love are just normal people just like you listening right
Yes,
now. So all they did was take that desire and passion and take that first little step. And that's all you have to do today is take that step toward it, and it will like work itself out. If you have the goal in mind and the right intentions for it, it will work out. Because my background is also in healthcare. I was a respiratory therapist. Although I loved what I did, I really truly did, and I loved the hospital I worked for, and I loved like the adrenaline rush of saving people. But there was just I also wanted something for my life where I wouldn't have to trade time for money. Um,
yes,
so I wanted to figure out what is something I can do where I can give my time is valuable, so I can spend time with my family at any time, but doing something I love and be able to still help people in a way. And so I finally was able to do that, and it just took me taking that little step, and it all worked out, and it's just continuing to go in the direction I want, which is really fun.
exactly.
But let's talk about like, 'cause you mentioned a book. So talk to me about that, because this is really fun. Not only is TikTok opened up, monetary value, but also really interesting opportunities here. So
Mm.
talk to me a little bit about this book, 3 Minutes with Spirit.
Yes, so that's one thing about being on TikTok. You have a lot of exposure, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me in big organizations, and one of them is Penguin, one of the world's biggest publishers, and they
Mhm.
reached out and pitched to me, and I didn't even know that I wanted to write a book. I didn't even know what they did, and I found that they sent us an email, and so I went with it. And so I've written a book, and it's coming out next year. It's pre-orders in February, and it comes out May 3rd in Australia, and across the world. But they said, people want a piece of Cael O'Donnell. They kind of want something at home that they can hold and feel, and maybe even read your words and your story a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, and why not while you're on tour? It's something that you can sign as well, so people can have a piece of that moment that they had it on tour in the live shows. So they really sold not me on the idea. And so 3 Minutes with Spirit is a book about the three kind of spiritual aspects that you can tap into. So there's the self, there's the source, and then there's spirit. And so sometimes when you want to connect in with a loved one, you have to figure out the spirit inside of you to reach the spirit beyond you. And so that's what the book is all about. It's getting to know you. It's getting to know what you are, what kind of spirit you are,
Right.
and realizing that those spirits that are beyond us are just the same as us because we remember them. And so that's what the book is all about. And it's 3 minutes with spirit because there's 3 minute exercises throughout the chapters on connecting with spirit. So it's really for beginners in spirituality that aren't really sure where to start. I don't know what a spirit guide is. I don't know, about all this stuff. I'm curious to get started. So it's definitely that kind of book of like a beginner level.
Oh, cool. That's so fun. Like that's something that I would 100% buy, because it's very interesting to me. I'm very open to all those types of things. And I kind of like what you just mentioned though, really. Like you said, it really helps you learn your own spirit. And I love
Yes.
that you said that, because I think as we're so focused about what others think of us, like, and this might be off tangent a little bit, but it kind of, I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
kind of goes together. But we're so focused as a human being of what others feel about us, but we forget we're almost a stranger sometimes to ourselves, because
Yes.
we really need to learn about us and be okay that the outside world and perspective is not like, it's not even necessary. Like, what are we? And that's goes back into like the goal of doing what you love and everything like that too. Would
Exactly.
you
When you know
agree?
yourself.
Mhm.
Exactly. When you know your spirit and you know yourself deeply and your innate faculties as a being on earth, you're going to make TikTok content that goes viral. You're going to make TikTok content that impacts people, and you'll be your genuine self. You won't have to change yourself because you'll know deeply why you're here, what you're capable of, and the innate parts of you that are, acceptable and loved and venerated and honored. So that's what it's all about. It's really important to reflect on ourselves and realize that we've got so much against us when we come into the world. There's so many things already pinned against us, and so many different things that we have to face and go through. So this book's really like kind of a brush off for people who get to a point where I just need to be reminded that I'm okay just being here. Just being is good. We're a human being, not a human doing. You know what I mean?
I love that. I could not agree more. Just those constant reminders are necessary for us on a daily basis. And I've never heard anybody say that. And I think that's really cool because we should just be okay with just being. We don't have to constantly be doing all the time because then we just burn ourselves out and then it just turns into this constant cycle of a mess. But if you're just okay with just being, then everything that you do, even if it's baby steps, is still giving value back to the world. So I love that.
Exactly. Just be. Just be.
That's really cool. Is there any like do you have any advice on being able to like figure out, or what's something that somebody can do today, maybe even just to like an exercise or telling themselves, do you have like I don't know, do you have sayings, mantras, or anything to get somebody in the right perspective to help them start learning more about themselves?
Well, for me, what I would suggest is basically sitting with yourself. And I think it's good to write down. I love to journal. I love to write down things. And
Mhm.
one of the exercises that I have in the book is to sit down and write to your older self. So think of a point in your life, maybe when you were 17, maybe when you were 15, and write to that person and write to that self, and right where you are today, and give them an update and say everything's okay. What you were worried about that would happen at 21 was overcome, and what you're worried about this is has we've moved past it. So you talk to the inner self and you write down, and it's just a great reflection to realize that you're the one experiencing your own reality, and you're the one that's seen everything. You're your own storyteller. So I would say that that's one way to get started. And that doesn't really involve all the spirits around there and spirit guides and stuff. It just involves
Mhm.
you, because you are so
Yeah,
powerful just in yourself. You're a very powerful being just sitting on your own. So, you
I
know,
love that. That's so cool. And I think like doing that like writing assignment puts you back into perspective of what's happening right now because a lot of us are like some of us are really centered and are good and almost like they've learned these things, but a lot of us are either focused in the past. So much of us are just in the past and dwelling on those things and wishing they did all these things. And then some of us are too anxious about the future. But both of those
yes,
things are out of our control. Like there's nothing you can do about the past and you can't predict the future. The only thing you can do is be in this moment right now and today. And I think
exactly.
the more we can remind ourselves of that, the less we're pressured really, like because you can only do so much in what we have right now. Right now, in the moment right now we're having this conversation, that's it. Like I can't do anything
Exactly.
else.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful just be in this moment. And one thing that I talk about in chapter one is probability. And the probability of you being on Earth is literally zero with 10 zeros afterwards.
Mm.
They've done science on this to show you that the probability of you being here is like 0 times 10. So if you think about that and the universe and what you're doing in your life right now, you're living an improbability that you're even here. So just understand that there has to be some reason why I'm here. This is like more than a miracle that I'm even here today. And so just understand that everyone starts life like that. Even the
Right.
people of your school that were bullying you, they start life like that too. But I believe that that's one thing, is that we can all change, that we can all heal, and we can all become someone new. And remember that what people used to know you like, maybe you're a little bit worried about going on TikTok because what if somebody finds at my workplace or something like this? Well, remember that your
Mm-hmm.
past doesn't define you. You're not the person who you were in the past. You're someone new just today.
I love
And
that.
embrace that for who you are. They might know
I
your name, but they don't really know you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're happy with who you are now, then those people might see you and be like wow, they've come so far or whatever. So don't be afraid of who you are now because that's the only person that matters is who you are today. We all
Exactly.
like
Embrace everything about you.
yeah,
Radically.
we've all
Radically
made
embrace
silly
everything.
mistakes. There's always something in the past that we could have looked back and feel a little cringed out or embarrassed by, but it's all about who you are in this moment, and that's the only time that matters. So Yeah, that's so
Exactly, and that
cool.
will provide value to yourself as well while you're doing business. If you can really
Hmm.
reflect, maybe you're not spiritual, maybe you think this is all just woo woo, and that's perfectly fine. But you do need to radically accept and realize that you have so much to give the world, and it doesn't matter who you are an inspiration to someone. So just sit with that and sit in your
Hmm.
own skin, okay, that there's something I can do, to this
Exactly.
world.
That's a great reminder for people listening right now, especially when it comes to content. If you're thinking, I'm not going to be a content creator because nobody cares about me, well, it only takes one person. So if your intentions are just to at least inspire or help somebody, then you're a content creator. Like you don't need millions of followers, you don't need thousands. You can just inspire one, and you're still a content creator giving value. So remind yourself of that you're listening right now. And I know a lot of you are so excited. You're
Exactly.
probably like a lot of you are thinking right now, like, okay, I got to learn more about Kale. How can I find him? Like, where can I learn more? I'm gonna go find his channels. So, Kale, now is the time. Like, tell us everything we need to know to be able to find you, connect with you, and book with you if you're interested.
Of course, yes. So you can go to my website, caleodonald.com, and there is even a free Meet Your Spirit Guide meditation. So if you want to meet your spirit guide, you don't know who they are, you can download my meditation and do it there on the website. I also have a waiting list, so if you would like to meet me in 2022 and do a reading, there's that option as well. But I also have group readings coming up also in October and in other months as well. So keep your eye out. But also on my Instagram at I'm Cael O'Donnell, I provide lots of different content like the different color feathers that you find. What does that mean?
Ooh.
What does 222 mean when you wake up in the middle of the night for a drink and you see 222 on your clock? What does that mean? So
Mm-hmm.
all these different things, the way the universe is speaking to you, the way that your spirit guides are guiding you, I like to teach you that on Instagram. So come over and check it
Perfect.
out.
That's so cool. And then on your TikTok is fun because you share insight perspectives of some of these stories that other people have been through with their reading. So then those who are very curious to maybe book with you, they can get an idea of what it might look like or what value they can get from that reading.
Yes, on TikTok I do a series on showing like a transcript of appointments that I've had or really
Mm-hmm.
memorable moments that I've had that I could never create for myself. I could never think that this would ever happen to me. And I put these moments on TikTok after seeing thousands of clients now. I can put them on TikTok and show you, what it's like to meet people and all the different things. And some people say, once they've had an appointment, they look back after a few months and they look at my TikTok and go, "Oh my God, my story was featured on your TikTok and our moment. I can't believe that I would be featured on your TikTok and that moment that we shared together." And it was like exactly what I thought it was going to be. So,
That's so
yeah,
cool. Yeah. And that's fun. People like that validation too. Maybe my story can get shared too, but still they're probably not like that's just an added bonus because that's not what it's all about. But I love that you're able to do that. And those of you that are listening, I made it very very simple for you. You just go to the description notes of this podcast episode, and then you're able to collect the links all to the places that you can find Kale and his website. And I'll have a link directly there so you can book with him for 2022 if that's something that you're very interested in about. And also his book.
hmm
I'll put the reminder of what the book title will be since it's not coming out until next year, but it'll at least
yes,
be in top of mind. And if you're listening to this in 2022, then there you go. The information's right there in the description notes. So, but yeah, Kale,
exactly.
like this was a very positive, happy, fun podcast that I think has a lot of value that will just be so evergreen because people that are listening, save this podcast episode because there's a lot of positive things you can take from this and remind yourself that right now in the moment is all you need to be. And I'm going to reiterate back to bring it back to full circle about manifestation and put that value. What are you going to give back to what you're going to get?
Exactly. And remember that you can never fail. You're only going to fail if you stop. So keep going.
That's the best. I love that. Thank you so much, Kale, for all your time today and all your value. And I'm really excited. I'm probably going to book myself a session for
Come
2022.
on in.
So, so this is great. Thank you again so much for your
Thank you,
time.
Kyle. I've absolutely loved this. And thank you for listening today to the podcast.
Perfect.